What do you do when you wake up with a craving for sausage and eggs, but you don't eat sausage or eggs? You get creative.
Creative, curious, always cooking. Life's a recipe worth booking. Stir the soul and spice it bright. Wellness living feels just right.
So we're going to start by making our egg replacement, and tofu is going to be the thing that we use here. Now, the one thing about tofu is that you want to make sure you always press it, like literally press the water out of it, because tofu is like a sponge and you want to give it the opportunity to soak up the flavor that you want. Now, you could put a plate on it, push it down, or you could take something and put it on top. I decided to do that because I was interested in going outside for a run. Yeah, all right, so now I'm back. Now listen, guys, this is the first time with me doing this video, so we're doing a food video, so the frames are all kind of jacked up. So this first view is me chopping up all of the vegetables, but they're not quite in frame, but I'm gonna end up bringing it in and show you everything that I did. There was some mushrooms, some onions, some spinach, some peppers, and this is everything already chopped up. I'll be sure going forward to make sure that I actually keep the actually set the places where the cutting board's gonna go, so we don't have to worry about that little mishap in the bottom. So thanks for being on this journey with me as we go through this. So like we just diced everything up into small pieces. If you want them to be larger chunks, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. Now I'm going to share the spices with you. Oh, this is the tofu. So the tofu here, just like eggs, you want to kind of crumble it up a little bit to get that scrambling effect. Remember, whenever you are trying to mimic something in the plant-based space without that thing, you want to get the texture right so that when you build that flavor in your palate will get it. Now let's get down into this sausage. So I ended up finding this Corazon wheat, which is also known as kamut, right? So I ended up buying it because it was on sale, and I seasoned it with these things. We got some sage, some black pepper, some garlic powder, some liquid smoke, and some fennel. These are all ingredients that you end up using in sausage. Like when you're tasting sausage, these are the flavors that you find. And so always when you're cooking, you want to remember that just because you're removing the meat doesn't mean that you remove the flavor. And all of those notes that you had in the meat-based product, you want to bring those into the dish, right? Now, these are the ingredients that are going to go into the scramble because you couldn't see them the first time I'm bringing them back. We got ourselves some garlic powder, some nutritional yeast, some black pepper, some onion powder, some turmeric for the color, because remember, we eat with our eyes as well. So the white, the white tofu isn't going to sell as quickly, so you want to put a little turmeric in. It's not going to give flavor, but it's going to give you color. And it's actually a secret ingredient that's going to take this dish over the top. So now we are getting into this pan. Now, as you will see, this pan is actually just heated and there's no oil going into the pan. I know it sounds weird, but no oil is needed in order to saute veggies, and you're going to see that. I'm putting the onions and the mushrooms in first because I kind of want them to cook down. You end up getting like that nice caramelization on them. And remember, I know we're not using any oil, but you're going to see even without that oil how this is going to come together and brown. And remember, oil is not what browns things in a dish. It is the heat. Properly heating a pan gets that done. Even if you put oil into a cold pan, your food will stick. So remember that if you are working to eliminate unnecessary calories, oil is a great place to start. It really sneaks in a way that's not needed. And the things that we believe we get from oil, healthy fats, you can get those healthy fats from things like seeds, nuts, in a way that just makes a lot more sense. Yeah. All right, so now it's time to deglaze the pan. So you see the items caramelized even without the oil. I'm putting a little bit of water in just to bring everything up. It's technically called deglazing the pan. You could use anything. You could use a little broth. You could use some vinegar. You could use some tamari, which is a type of a soy sauce. You can use that. But as you see, even though like we didn't put oil, just that little bit of steam brought everything up. I just dropped some liquid smoke into this, and now I'm putting my spices in. I'm actually making the sausage blend, right? So that smokiness that you have, we have the mushrooms is going to give us some additional meatiness. We're throwing in that what you just saw with some coconut aminos and some tamari. Now coconut aminos is an alternative to people who may be allergic to soy. It's a coconut sap base, but what's cool about it is that it has like a sweetness to it. So a lot of times with sausage we are using maple syrup, right? Maple syrup's the thing that we're having to get like that little taste, but we're putting in the coconut aminos and replacement, and a little bit of tamari, which is a salt replacement. All right, now I'm setting up for the tofu scramble, which is our scramble with eggs, right? So same thing, we put the ingredients into an unoiled pan, and we're not touching them until they actually start to brown. A lot of times we feel that we're doing something in the kitchen because we're moving things around with the spoon and we're in there with the spatula, and I just want to let you know that you're working way too hard, and I want you to give yourself permission to do less, right? And the reason I say this, especially the reason that we don't do it, is because we disrupt the caramelization process. And caramelization is the thing that we love the most when we are having food. So you don't have to do anything but put your ingredients into the pan, let them do what they're going to do with the heat, and then once it's time to move them, then you do some work. Now we see here that it's just cooking down, everything's reducing, getting smaller, and then you're gonna add in some moisture like we did before to deglaze the pan, get all that stuff off the bottom. As you see, it's lifting up without having any oil in there. Now we're adding in our tofu and all of those spices. I usually put a little bit of broth into this. I didn't have any broth, so I ended up putting some mushroom powder into the water just to kind of give it a vehicle to, like I say, use the tofu's texture and that sponginess to pull the flavor in so that it's not just sitting on top. And as you see, this is coming together really nicely. What we added in was some onion powder, garlic powder, some nutritional yeast, which gives things like a little cheesy flavor. And what you saw me just add in there was something called black salt. And black salt is the secret ingredient, as it is the thing that gives the tofu its eggy flavor. It is sourced from the Himalayan mountains. You can get it from Indian grocery stores, and if you are trying to mimic the egg flavor, it is a key ingredient. You can literally put that on chickpeas and make like a play on an egg salad. In this case, we used it for a play on scrambled eggs, which of course is just tofu. So this is our final plate. I charred some bread for it because it kind of seemed like, oh yeah, like think about it as a sandwich. I didn't like how it looked, so I ended up taking it away, but I did end up consuming that bread later. So literally, this is the final dish.
Now, this whole bite comes together. Now, like, listen, this isn't sausage. This isn't eggs. What it is the flavor profile of sausage and the flavor profile of eggs built into the texture of plants, whole foods that will actually have you feeling satisfied and also do your body well. So I don't want nobody coming for me in the comments talking about why do people who don't eat meat always want to eat meat, or want to eat fake meat, or want to eat. That's first off, that's a ridiculous question. I'm gonna tell you why it's a ridiculous question. It's a ridiculous question because we all just want flavor, right? We want flavor, we want texture, and oftentimes when people do decide that, oh, I used to eat sausage, I used to eat chicken, I used to eat whatever full version of it that they may be interested in consuming, it could be because there's a memory associated with that. There's a comfort that is associated with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So we gotta stop. We gotta stop being ridiculous. Let you know that is all eating is. Eating is flavor profiles, and textures. And whenever you want to explore different foods, remember you can always build that into the bite. Now listen, the key to this dish was the good old black salt. That's what made this, gave it its eggy flavor. Remember, it's the sulfur in it that caused that. And the texture of this kamut, like I say, when I first bit into it the first time I had it, it reminded me of sausage. So threw in some fennel, some good old sage, some coconut aminos for the sweetness that will kind of potentially be like maple syrup, a little bit of tamari for the salty. And it's not, like I say, this ain't sausage and eggs, but it tastes like sausage and eggs. All right, yeah, you got it. I'm simply Brandy, creative, curious, and always cooking something up. And today we made sausage and eggs without sausage and eggs. Until next time, be well.
Creative, curious, always cooking. Life's a recipe worth booking.